Welcome to We the Waste People podcast. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Butterfly Screams. We're two pissed off Americans trying to make sense of what's happening in this country. Whether it's coming from the right or the left, our goal is to call out the people driving our national collapse.
Join us today as we discuss the recent electoral victories for the Democrats, the alarming number of right wing extremist groups purchasing land in Tennessee, and of course, drag a couple of billionaires.
Awesome. Can't wait to do it.
All right, so let's get into some housekeeping items. First, like, share, and subscribe. We'd love the help getting this out there. Looking for volunteer co-producer. We're looking to help increase production quality. Desperately need folks with audio visual editing and graphic skills. Operate as a cooperative. Any money made in the future would be shared equally. We are not making money. We are both horrible capitalists.
That is
And if
true.
you
Very true.
if you are interested, email wastepeoplepod@proton.me. If interested, subject line co-producer. Getting into the content, election sweep.
Yeah. Yeah. There was quite an election sweep for the Democrats back in early November it was?
Yep, yep. And it's fun that we are like a month behind everybody else because we are bringing back the subject when everybody else has moved on to the next whatever current flame is coming out of the White House.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think it's important too because while I'm super excited that it happened, but mainly because of what a blow to Trump's ego it had to be. Um I worry often that people they hear, oh, the Democrats are winning, Democrats are going to save us, right? The Democrats, these politicians, right? They're going to save us, and people tend to kind of go back to sleep, or they stop paying attention, and they think somebody else is going to take care of things. And so yeah, I definitely think it's important for us to keep talking about it and remind everyone that things are not normal, and we need to stay woke, if you will.
Amen. So a few things. I think overall it was a great day. A great couple of days. I think that I am still cautiously optimistic rather, and gonna be for a while. I even if let's just fast forward a little bit and let's say 2026 rolls around, we have free and fair elections, and the Democrats take back the House. Let's say they take the House and they get the Senate back as well. We are far from out of the woods.
Amen, brother.
We got a lot
Yeah.
of work to do. And even if they were to take a supermajority on both, right? What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean? That means they could go in and they can impeach everybody. There's
Mm-hmm.
still a lot of work to do. There is a lot of damage that has been done since this administration's taken office. And let's be honest, nobody's happy with the current round of Democratic players, the corporate Dems, the DNC Dems, if you will. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
likes them.
Yeah.
And they're like digging in. They're entrenching themselves even deeper into what's going on. But as excited as I was about Mamdani's victory, and we'll get into that in a minute about why I was excited, I have since seen, let's see, who was I was watching? I think it was a Sabby Sabs clip, or no, it was somebody on TikTok rather, that showed where there was another city council person who was going to try to primary either Jeffries or Booker, and I don't remember which one it was now. And both
Mm-hmm.
AOC and Mamdani said, "Nope, now's not the time. I will not endorse you." And that bothered me. That bothered me a lot.
I'm relieved to hear you say that because it really pissed me off too. I mean, it's just like these so-called progressives, man. It's like they ride these economic populist messages all the way into office, even unseating incumbents that have been there forever, like AOC. The guy she replaced had been there forever, and I think he was set to become speaker at some point, right?
Yeah.
So that's how monumental her electoral victory was. Only for her to get in there and just basically bow to the establishment and be a good little, Democrat and wait her turn, if you will, because let's be honest, the Democrats are obsessed with like institutionalism and seniority and waiting for your time and stuff like that. And so as a result, there's been a couple of votes that AOC has made that I'm just like, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with her. So this Mamdani stunt she just pulled, I'm almost done with her completely.
Yeah. And I get it. There probably has to be these, I guess, larger strategies at play, but somebody needs to give us a fucking idea of what the strategy is. Because right now I don't see strategy.
I don't
Um,
either.
and I was scrolling earlier today, and I came across he was not in the group. There was a group of 5 people on David Hogg's uh, TikTok channel, and that's exactly what they were talking about was the people with tenure, that had been there for a while, um, and they were all saying, "Look what this has gotten us. Yes, you have this tenure, but this is what your tenure's gotten us. You haven't done anything. You've
Mhm.
literally allowed." And again, it's a one B type situation for me. I will wholeheartedly blame Republicans more than I blame Democrats, but it's a 1A, 1B. They're right behind them. At least establishment Dems, the corporate Dems, the Schumers, the Pelosi's. Um,
Mhm.
but that being said, we're here because of them just as much as anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I guess I do have one small disagreement in that I blame the Democrats more because here's my thing. They've been the supposed party of the working man, so you would expect that they, have had the opportunity to do something for the working people and they haven't. I cannot help but connect that with, the anger that people feel, so much so that they would do something so crazy as to look at someone like Donald Trump and think, okay, this is a serious guy. He cares about us. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that is like utter failure on the part of Democrats. Like,
That's the crazy thing is that I think everybody. So go back to 2015 when he entered. I don't think anybody thought he was going to make it, including the Democrats, including the Republicans. They were like, "Oh, he won't make it," and somehow he fucking made it. And here we are, 10 years later, and the world is on fucking fire.
yeah. Do you think that
Um,
it's the reason that nobody thought he would make it is because of just how out of touch Democrats are with everyday people?
I think that's a strong possible. I think there's probably a lot to do with that. But I mean, no matter who I've listened to, Democrats or Republicans, nobody thought he was going to be there long term. And even some of the more, I guess, Warhawk style Republicans of the day, then none of them
Mhm.
thought he was going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, I definitely. I would argue that those Republicans were clearly just as out of touch with everyday Americans as the Democrats were.
Yeah.
So definitely they both bear some responsibility as far as that is concerned.
I mean, I'm a
But
big fan of Steve Schmidt, and if you're not familiar with him, he does a show on YouTube called the Schmidt Storm.
mhm,
He was a Republican. Oh, I don't know what the word is for them. A Republican strategist, I guess. He actually helped. I think it was Jeb Bush run his campaign.
hmm,
And I'm almost positive at one time I heard him say that nobody thought he was going to make it, to the primary or through the primaries, let alone to the actual presidency. Um, and he's one of those people that tells it like it is. I started listening to him because he was saying things that were the things I thought Democrats should have been saying at the time.
I I'm curious, like, do you think that Democratic voters make excuses for Democratic politicians?
I think they were. I think the majority of those of us who were voting for Dems did. I think that is going away. And again, I like I told you in a recent conversation, TikTok for me is a it's kind of a mirror to what I did when I was a teenager, early 20s. I had a friend that I hung out with, a couple of them, and we'd go to a local restaurant at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we'd sit and watch people, right? We'd just watch their interactions. We'd listen to the stupid conversations that drunk people would have at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I feel that's what TikTok is for me. And one of the things I've seen on TikTok is that there is, and again, you can see it both on the left and the right, they're going in different directions, but the people that are leftist, even center left are pushing further. And there's more pushback than I can ever remember seeing or hearing on those people who are Democrats, on those establishment Democrats, those corporate Democrats.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I I feel like Jennifer Welch. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but there's this. I've heard it called like a wine mom podcast called "I've Had It,"
Yeah, so
and
I see clips. Yes.
yeah, and man, she she cracks me up because she clearly had enough, like her podcast says, and I am hoping that what I'm seeing from her is basically happening to all the wine moms across the country. Like I'm so like I can't express how much I want that, because like for me that's a huge part of my problem, and that's why I've just become so cynical when it comes to all this stuff. And I know I just sound like a negative Nancy all the time, but I've just been watching it for so long and just seeing these people lie over and over and over again, and these fucking politicians just at the end of the day, like they're so self-interested. They don't give a shit about us, right? And that includes those progressive. And it hurts to say that. Honestly, it really does, because I was so hard in the paint for Bernie Sanders. And then these squad members that came up shortly after him. And then just in the last couple of years, it's just like I've just kind of woken up to this unfortunate reality and that is that these people don't actually care. And hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope people like Jennifer Welch are going to start pushing these politicians like in a way that actually makes them scared, makes them want to act in the best interest of us. Because so far, it's just been nothing but big fat disappointment for me. So yeah, I think the days of like making excuses for these, especially for the corporate Democrats, I think those are over. Well, I really hope so anyway.
Yeah,
But
I'm with you on that. I do think that their days are numbered. And I'll be honest, I don't think it can come soon enough for me. I
mhm.
will say that I don't think it's that they all don't care. I think that there are people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, the Squad. I'm a little bit of a fan of why am I drawing a blank? I can picture her face. Boy, she had and part of the problem when she was running was she had a plan for everything, which is stupid
Oh,
because
Elizabeth Warren.
yes, yeah,
Yes, the
she's
policy
actually
wonk.
a lot of people think she's further left than Bernie in some
Really, that's
conversations.
hilarious to me. I would
Yeah,
disagree.
but I think these people do care. But I think it's like if you're managing a team, whether it's in business or whether it's in sports, you've got a lot of people that you're trying to manage, and you're trying to a lot of compromises have to be made to make the whole thing work. Now, I think that maybe the people that would be more towards our end of what we like on the left have made more
Mhm.
compromises than those on the center, and even this, let's be honest, the center right of the Democratic class in this country. Um, but I think that's going to go away.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Um, I guess on that note, while we're still talking Democratic politics, Mamdani, what are your thoughts? Like, I know we touched on him a little bit, but I guess the main thing I would like to hear from you on is Do you think he's the real thing?
So, and you've got that down on the paper for us to talk about, and I thought about that, and so you're is he the real deal, or are we putting too much hope in a single person? And I think that two things can be true.
Yeah.
Um, I'm again, I'm very cautiously optimistic about him. I got super excited with him winning the election because of who he was up against rather, the money that he was up against. He was up against the entire Democratic establishment. They
Hmm.
would not endorse him. Of course, he was up against the Republican establishment. He was up against Trump, um, and he won, right? Which says if which to me says if the Democrats put up the right people, they're gonna win, no matter what. And I was excited because I saw like people in places like northern Mississippi who were like, "That's my mayor," right?
Hmm.
People out in just what would be considered red country, red states, all throughout the country were like, "That's my mayor." They were happy about him. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic. Do we put too much hope in one person? Yeah, we do. We put too much hope in Obama. Obama's one person. When he came into the presidency, he can't do it all. One, it's not how our government works. Um, but yeah, we do put too much hope into one person. I do hope that he is the real deal. I again, after I've seen the videos where people are saying that he's not willing to support another person who is like him right now, that it's not the right time to primary. I believe it was Booker. Um,
No, it was Hakeem Jeffries.
okay, it was Jeffries, and earlier I said it was one of the two, but I couldn't remember which. Yeah, so he was going to primary Jeffries, and I'm not a fan of Jeffries at all anymore. Some of the videos I've watched over the last 60 to 90 days, that I've lost all confidence in that dude. He can get fucked.
Yeah, he's
Um,
he
I was a big
talks.
I was a big fan early on, but he's no different in my eyes than Chuck Schumer, and
Yeah,
I can't stand Schumer. I fucking can't stand that dude.
yeah, same here. For me, yeah, I dared to be a little hopeful. I had been watching some commentary leading up to it to suggest that he's probably going to govern more like a moderate. And I thought to myself, nah, man. I mean, look what he's doing. Like, he's clearly got all this like momentum, all this support. And, why would he like do something so crazy? Um, and then shortly after that, like shortly after his election, I see that he's decided to keep on this police commissioner. Oh, what's her name? Something Tish. But anyway, she's bad news because she's all about like the national security state, basically. She's all about spying and surveillance. She called a proposed $80 million federal cut to NYPD's counterterrorism budget a betrayal and demanded that the matter be placed above politics. But if you like really dig into like this counterterrorism uh, thing that's just so important, it basically boils down to like predictive policing, which is like rife with all kinds of problems.
Yep.
And it's basically just more, laying of the groundwork for the surveillance police state. Like, I'm just not a fan, not at all. And so the fact that Mamdani would not replace someone like her is a little bit alarming to me, or actually a lot alarming to me. And so I yeah, I have some reservations now about Mamdani but again, like I said, I get excited about these people, and inevitably they get into office and then something happens to where I'm just like,
Yeah.
nah, man, this isn't what you were talking about leading up to this. So like, what's happening now? What's going on?
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. And there's a lot of, there's a lot that goes into it, and I want to say that he should just fucking just burn it all down and start fresh. I don't know if that's realistic. It's a Fucking New
Trump
York's a
seems
big
to be
ass city.
managing just fine.
Burning it down, yes. But there's a
Yeah, that's
conversation to
true.
be there's a conversation to be had about what's to come after it burns down. We're gonna get into
That's
some of
true.
that. Um, yeah, I will say that I don't think you're wrong, and I think that you have to keep hope. Um, it's hope in itself is a form of resistance. One, hope was a big thing of the movie Shawshank Redemption. Um, you've got to keep it, uh, because otherwise, what else is there?
Yeah.
But I don't think you're wrong in having some hope, but I also don't think you're wrong and being very, very concerned about it and just like being cautious going forward.
Yeah. To be fair, like I am really just freaked out about this whole surveillance state thing, regardless of who is in office. Like, I don't care. I think it's a huge problem. Something needs to be done about it. In fact, I think that would be a winning ass issue for a Democrat, someone who's out there saying, okay, for years now, decades, these companies, these tech companies have been collecting our data. They're using it against us. They're collecting our data on these social media platforms and then manipulating us with, based on the information they're obtaining about us. And it's just, this is a huge problem. This is not what you would want to see happen, and especially go unchecked in a democratic society. Like, this is a danger to democracy. So any person running for office, why we haven't had anyone like make that their number one issue, I don't know. I really don't know. And it's quite disturbing, actually. So, one more thing before we move on to Tennessee. I want you to convince me to vote for Aftyn Behn. Do you know anything about this, by the way?
I do. I know a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, it's all over my TikTok feed. It's all over some of the group chat that I'm in, one of the group chats I'm in, because while I'm not in Tennessee, I'm close. So if I was somebody that was able to vote in that election, I absolutely would myself. And for a couple of different reasons. One, it does help. We need everything we can to gum up the works of the machine. Um, I know people are like, but they're still doing all these things. Yes. But if we didn't have the judges out there slowing it down, how much further along would we be? How much deeper in the shit would we be?
Mhm.
And I think her being there does help. Is it going to be perfect? Fuck no. Is it going to get us to the dreamland that we think of? Fuck no. Does it
Mhm.
help gum up the works? Yes. The other side of that, and I've thought about this a lot since you and I had a conversation in the past. It's funny depending on where we're at in our history in this country, whether people at the upper levels of our political hemispheres call us a republic or call us a democracy, right? And I say that
Mhm.
because after World War II, they were driving home to everybody they could the democracy. You you can't I mean, you can, they do. They change it based on what narrative they need to drive, right?
Mhm.
We were not founded on being a democracy. Yes, we were not. But we also are not the same as we were in 1776. Our boy Tad Stormer will tell you that all day long. And those elections, the Senate, the especially the House more than the Senate, you've got more influence over that person than anyone else in our national government,
Mhm.
right? So for that
The
very
people's
reason,
house.
yes, if for no other reason, if I had the ability to vote in that election, I would be voting for her.
Yeah, I live close to her district, so I was curious what you would say if you thought maybe I could vote for her.
So I saw a video today, and it was so as we get closer, I'm sure my feed is going to see more and more. But I saw a guy come out on the porch, and this dude sounds like my dad sounds, right? I'm sure most
Mhm.
people just listening to my voice don't necessarily know right away I'm from Mississippi or live in Mississippi. But you talk to my dad, you're gonna know. You're gonna know he lives in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you won't pinpoint Mississippi, but you're gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
This guy came out and you knew he was from the South, right? And he goes, I may not agree with her on policies, but she came and talked to me.
Mm.
We can talk about the policies. She made time to come out here and talk. She's got my vote. And I was like, I didn't expect that. When he said her name, I was waiting on some kind of fucking horrible, typical fucking right wing, Democrat horrible issue, whatever bullshit that they normally spill, and it wasn't. He was like, "She's got my vote. We may disagree on some things, but she's here talking to the people."
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. But also it makes so much sense. I think that's a huge part of the problem is that these politicians in DC, they don't spend any time in their districts. They don't spend any time, with the people they have been elected to represent ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate hearing that about her.
I've always heard it said that once a politician gets elected, they immediately start picking up the phone to raise more money for the next election.
Yeah.
And I think the massive amount of money that this country spends on election is a failure in so many ways. It's literally an injustice to the people. And I think if they would fucking go back and start talking to the people again, they wouldn't have to raise nearly as much money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I get it, it's expensive for commercials and all, but do you have to have as many commercials when you're out in the community talking to the people? If you're going and actually doing town halls, do you have to spend that much money on campaigns?
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
it's go
one of
for
the
it.
other
I'm sorry.
things, one more thing to add to that, one of the things that came out of the New York election that Mamdani won was it was the first time, and I don't remember the year that they quoted, but it was the first time for maybe since Obama that people were actually voting for someone as so the majority, it was more than 50% of the people that were polled actually were voting for him as opposed to voting against someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that say about our fucking political system?
I don't know. It's God, it's depressing. I personally would love like an entirely different system, something way more democratic, but that's going to take a lot of work. In fact, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, okay, if I'm going to be part of the resistance or whatever, I'm going to oppose like Donald Trump and everything he's doing. I just want us to really, really make structural reform. It's not just about like this particular issue or that particular issue. Structural reform needs to happen, particularly around campaign finance and also finding ways to make the democratic process more democratic, less representative, more democratic. That is what I would ultimately love to see happen.
So I think the biggest thing for that is that the American people are gonna have to, and I think it's happening. Again, I don't give Trump a lot of credit for anything, but I will give him credit that he's activated the American people, right? Unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is if we stay true to ourselves, we will go back to sleep.
Yes, and I'm so afraid of that.
We've got to get active. We've got to stay active, not just for the next 10 years. We got to stay active for as long as we're a country.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we won't be a country.
Yeah, on that note, this is something that I think about, and I'd love to like hear your thoughts on this. But like in some of my like more furious moments where I'm just like raging in my mind about just how fucked up this all is, and I go through my like periods of like, God damn it, if people can't care enough, about living in democracy to like actually keep up with what's going on and really do the work necessary to understand who these people are that you keep electing to office, like do we even deserve democracy? Like if you're not willing to do the work, you know what I mean? Like, and it's work, like you were saying. we're not technically a democracy, but it's still democratic in nature, right? And so
Yeah.
like, to me, it means that like people actually have to do democracy, not just like be in the democracy, right? And I don't feel like there's enough doing of democracy by like your average everyday person.
I agree, and I think it's been by design. And what I mean by that is especially, and I'd kind of thought this, but after we read through Nancy Eisenberg's book, um, it really has driven home that all that has been by design. I've heard people saying a lot that someone has felled forward, felled upward, and I see a lot of that, right? But I think the people being put to sleep has been by design from those at the very top, those with the money, those with the power. Give them more TVs, give them bigger TVs. Oh, it's not polite to talk about politics and religion at work. It's not. You shouldn't talk about politics and religion at the family dinner table. You shouldn't talk about it. You shouldn't talk about it. It's okay. Well, then I don't want any part of politics. I'm just gonna go watch whatever fucking so-called reality TV show you put on in front of me. I'm gonna go have a party and drink because that's easy. That's fun. And I've been taught since kindergarten that you don't talk about politics.
You make such a good point. That is so true. That is so true. And that's actually something that has always just bothered me so bad. Like, I don't understand why we can't talk. Like, yes, it's meant to be controversial. It's meant to get people talking. It's meant to get people thinking critically about their lives. And that's a cultural problem that needs to change. Like we have to encourage debate. We have to encourage differences of opinion. We have to encourage dialogue, intellectual honesty. Like, we should encourage these things, no
Political
matter
education.
yeah, no matter how like emotionally provocative it is. You know what I mean? Like, it just, at the end of the day, it's what democracy is about. It's about conversing and talking about hard shit.
Yeah.
you know
And so we've not been taught because you're not supposed to talk about it. We never learned how to talk about it. It probably doesn't really have to be nearly as hard as what it's gotten for us. It's just that because we were told not to talk about it, again, we never developed that skill set, right? If I never learn how to drive heavy equipment, then I don't know how to drive heavy equipment. It's not that it's super difficult as a whole. It's that if you've never gotten on a track hoe and learned how a track hoe works, you're not going to know. If you've never gone in and created a spreadsheet, you're not going to know. You're not going to have that skill set. And if people are purposefully telling us not to talk about politics, you're never going to develop that skill set to talk about politics.
yeah. Yeah, and I would just add that, going back to what you were saying about how it's by design, yeah, capitalism plays a huge part in that design, in that, it keeps you just so completely wiped out at the end of the day to care about any fucking thing because you've been too busy working all day, sometimes overtime, and you just, there comes a point where you just need to rest, okay? Because capitalism is very hard and it's exhausting. And, why care about the politicians making decisions for your lives, when you're just so tired? Like, you're too tired to be able to care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
anyway, okay. So, on the note of what's going on in Tennessee as far as like politics and elections go, I John, I think you had suggested that maybe we go back to a conversation or something we had recently about just like the extremism happening in Tennessee. I don't remember exactly what prompted this, but whatever it was, you said, "Hey, butterfly." We should talk about Tennessee and the extremist groups, and that was all I needed to just go to town, right? Like, so I have put together a list because I think the good people who listen to our podcast, those few who do, should know that there are some disturbing trends going on in Tennessee. And it warrants discussion. It warrants some investigation, really, as to like what's going on here. So, okay, the first one we'll start with is this group in Gainesboro, which is in Jackson County. And I would describe them as a group of Christian nationalists that are interested in creating their own little like private cities and polities or whatever. And I think we last touched on this group in our episode about farms, like the farm crisis that's going on. And this particular group, they like to consider themselves heritage Americans. Okay.
So they're
And
indigenous?
no,
Uh,
yeah, they're apparently like a different kind of like heritage American or whatever. And so basically what this is it was started with this company. It's this real estate company buying up land in this area with the intent to start like basically it's similar to like an intentional community or a planned community or whatever. And it's interesting because like honestly, like intentional communities are not like a new thing. Like they're kind of like it's just that these are like right-wing versions of like an eco village or whatever. And it's usually they come together around like a shared value system, particularly around like well extremist Christianity and being white and like just like they just harken back to this like old vision of America or whatever before like these nasty like dirty liberals started building cities or whatever. And so just to kind of give you a little rundown, it started with this guy Josh Abatoy. He's the owner of this company called Ridge Runner. So he's 38. He's a Harvard educated lawyer. The first source I'm going to share on this heritage American community here is this article that Rolling Stone recently did, where the author of the piece went out and talked personally to the guy that started up this particular project. Josh Abatoy says there's a heavy political component to this. We don't quite advertise this bluntly, but maybe we should. Are you fed up with crime, corruption, and wokeness in your big blue city? Then move here. He says he's already sold a handful of parcels, mostly to those looking to relocate. Out-of-staters who move to Tennessee love the way it is now. They love the traditional Bible Belt feel. And sounds fine, right? So far, I guess. But then you meet his first two customers, who are Andrew Isker and Jay Engel. Both are incredibly insane. Some things to know about these two individuals are that one is a pastor from Minnesota. Some of his views are as follows. He would like to dissolve Congress and the judiciary and vest all power into a sovereign ruler named Donald J. Trump. He also has an inflammatory history of remarks about women, immigrants, Jewish people in the LGBTQ community. And then there's this other guy, Engel. I think he's the friend or partner of that Isker guy. They do a podcast together. So he has used social media to denounce democracy, declare gay people are only employable if they work on not being gay, insist America's survival is predicated on the removal of foreigners. Basically, he wants to return to the country, to how the country was before the civil rights movement, and that women were, quote, happier and lived more fulfilling lives before they got the vote. So yeah, that's just a little bit about these people. They're insane. They're nuts. They're Christian right-wing extremists. There's been plenty of reporting on this, both by the local news outlet in Nashville, and as well as some other like independent journalists on YouTube. So they own a couple hundred acres, and they're not the only crazy people buying up land in Tennessee. Our next group is going to be a group called Patriot Fund. You might be familiar with them, John. They are the khaki pants wearing mask. I don't know. They kind of look like Best Buy employees, but like with shields or something. So yeah.
Blockbuster.
Are you familiar with these guys?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well, they have made their mark all over the country. But it looks like they've chosen to set up shop here in Tennessee with a 122-acre property over in East Tennessee. So a little bit about Patriot Front. News Channel 5 out of Nashville has been doing this like ongoing series on hate groups or whatever. I forget the exact name of it, but something like Hate Comes to Main Street or whatever. And they're covering like all these hate groups that keep showing up in Tennessee. And Patriot Front is one that they did a rundown on. And so they mentioned in their article here, it says, these are hardened white supremacists who want to see a white ethno-state created somewhere in the United States. Known for their flash mob protests, they suddenly spring out of the backs of rental trucks. Patriot Front members wear white gaiters to hide their faces. They are also active in plastering communities across the country with their hate-filled flyers and graffitis. We are Americans. We are not white Americans because there are no other kind of Americans than those who are white and from Europe, Russo argued in a recent podcast interview. This Russo guy, he's like one of their leaders or some shit. Patriot Front members have also been implicated in defacing murals celebrating the accomplishment of Black Americans. So, yeah, I think you get the point. These guys are no bueno. And I am going to link in the show notes all these articles that I have here because I do think it's worth everyone going and taking a deeper look at this. This is a problem. This is not normal. And I'm not even done. Okay, so the next weirdo hate group that has decided to move into Tennessee and buy land is called the Asatru Folk Assembly. They bought a 70-acre compound for a headquarters in North Spring, Tennessee, which is in Jackson County. And if you've been paying attention, you'd know that they are probably neighbors to some degree to those heritage Americans. And I guess what makes the Asatru Folk Assembly different from the heritage Americans is that they are more focused on like pagan religions, which kind of sucks because it just gives like people who practice pagan religions a bad name. Because like the reality is like there are plenty of people today who practice pagan religions and who are not racist, hateful bigots. So here we have an article from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it's called How a Whites-Only Group Plans to Turn Rural Tennessee into Its Homeland. So about this particular group, members of the Asatru Folk Assembly practice an exclusively white form of pre-Christian Norse and Germanic religions that the Southern Poverty Law Center refers to as Neo-Volkish, with 31 chapters in the United States as of 2022. This group has described its core demographic as ethnic European folk, which it has defined as, quote, white people. Group representatives have stated that the AFA would deny admission to Black people because they're not of Northern European descent, as well as LGBTQ people. So yeah, you get the gist. This is just another hateful group of people who have come together in the great state of Tennessee. And yeah, so there's that. Then the next group that I think is important to look at. Now this one's a whole nother level of insane. It is called the Rod of Iron Ministries, and they are an AR-15 worshiping MAGA church. So the Rod of Iron Ministries, like I said, is they have a thing for AR-15s. They recently purchased a 130-acre compound in Granger County, Tennessee, and they are quite famous, actually. Vice did a documentary on this particular group. The Rod of Iron Ministries, also known as the World of Peace and Unification Sanctuary, is run by Pastor Hyunjin Sean Moon, a conspiracy theorist who proclaims that his followers are at war with the deep state. The group has a growing following among MAGA supporters and Second Amendment devotees and has attracted Trump allies like Steve Bannon and former NRA spokeswoman Dana Loesch. So yeah, their shtick really is just that they basically worship all things Trump and AR-15s. And again, they own 130 acres in Granger County, Tennessee.
So do you think when he brushes his teeth in the morning that he completely misses the problem?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because I look, and I'm really biting my tongue here until we get to it, but let's say Trump achieves burning it all down. We're going to have a bunch of warring factions in our country. All these all these different fucking white supremacist groups are going to be at each other's throats and be at everybody else's throats. And
Yeah.
this dude is going to what? He's going to be one of the first people they take out. He's not a white guy. And here's the deal. None of them are white guys ultimately, right? If we go back to the beginning of this country, and we talked about this when we read Nancy Eisenberger's book, that in Virginia, that the elites of that time decided, oh, let's bring on some of the poor white people because we're outnumbered by the people we've enslaved. Now we're white. Now we're white. No, fuck you. Yeah. And these people don't understand that they're just pawns in this fucking game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really so sad because I actually watched the documentary that Vice did on this. And these people, clear mental problem. Like, this is a cult. This is definitely a cult, first of all. Secondly, it's just totally bizarre. Bizarre is bizarre gets. And I don't understand it. But yeah, there's a lot about the Trump age that I just don't understand. So, add this to the pile.
Yeah, looking at that picture you've currently got up, if I didn't know anything else about them, I would just say he's a grifter. He's simply there to fucking make as much money off of that bullshit as he can while he can.
Yeah.
And I believe that there are a lot of people out there like that right now. I'm not saying they don't at least somewhat believe in Trump and what Trump stands for, but I don't think they all believe it the way those who are absolute the Patriot Front, right? I don't think all of them believe it the way the Patriot Front believes it. I don't believe it the way that I don't even believe it the way JD says he believes it. I don't think he believes it that way. I think he's there for a different reason. But I think there's a lot of grifters that are just there to grab a bag of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you believe that this church, or whatever you want to call this, precedes Trump? In fact, are you familiar with, oh yeah. Like, are you familiar with, what's that guy? He's the cult expert. He's all over YouTube. I want to say his last name is Hassan or something. Anyway, he's a cult expert. He's all over YouTube. And the cult, the reason that he knows so much about a cult and now dedicates his life to talking about cults and helping people get out of cults is because he was once a part of this cult.
This cult?
Yes.
No, I'm not familiar.
The Moonies.
I'm not familiar with the name. There's a few different people that are former members from childhood of cults that I pick up on from time to time, but I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. I say that, and now that I've said it out loud, I want to make sure that I'm correct. Yes, this is the same cult, what I was just showing you, but I think the cult has evolved since its founding in the 70s. Like, it used to be that the current leader's father was like the founding member of this particular church or cult or whatever the hell this is, right? And so it existed in that form for many years. And then somewhere along the way, the son took over, and now there's this like obsession with AR-15s.
So it's a long-term grift.
what it seems like. He founded the Pennsylvania-based, I guess, arm of the church. A schismatic sect. Okay, yeah, meaning it broke off. So yeah, what I thought was correct. Okay.
Were they?
Yes.
They're a hate group?
Yeah, I guess that's sort of the interesting thing is like they're definitely like Trump supporters and they like love their AR-15s. But if you watch the documentary that Vice did, you see that like they're not like selective about who they allow in. You see white people, black people, obviously Korean people. You see, you know, a diverse group of people, right, that are subscribing to this BS. So I don't know that it's necessarily a hate group in that sense, but
I wonder what like their founding doctrine is then, or what their pillars are.
it would be surprised. Oh, you know, now that I think about it, when I was watching the documentary, they're definitely not LGBTQ friendly because you'll see in the documentary that, you know, the guy's talking to some of the members of the church, and that's something that they bring up and discuss. And you see quite quickly that they are not down with the LGBTQ. So
I wonder how many of them are running from themselves.
probably a lot. Okay, so that's it for the Rod of Iron Ministries. And the next one that I found, which I found very suspicious and weird, was the New Earth Tennessee group. They are a project that aims to create a fully sovereign micronation governed by values of freedom, innovation, and conscious living, self-sufficiency, and respect for nature.
I'm gonna jump in here and say that, man, I clicked on the link to these guys. Their fucking website. It's if you are just somebody who is just kind of looking, I can see why it would grab people.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's definitely I consider it like a woo-woo kind of thing because it's very like based in spirituality. Like that's how they, I guess, attract people. And, you know, so there's like spirituality, there's the whole like, you know, wanting to look after nature component. And so, yeah, it really speaks to, you know, probably some people on the left actually could easily be taken in by this. But what I find super suspicious is that they use the words fully sovereign micronation. That sounds a lot to me like a network state.
Yeah.
Like this is some weird project of like a tech libertarian type of some kind. So, you know, based on what I saw on the website, it looks like on the surface that this is like some kind of like spiritual organization or group or whatever. And their actual spiritual practice is called the Lazarus Initiative. And it's this whole thing is founded by this guy named Sasha Stone, who, from what I can tell, is basically a woo-woo conspiracy theorist. I would guess he's a huge RFK Jr. fan.
Well,
Just based on
speaking
the
of,
little bit.
go ahead.
Yeah, just based on the little bit I was able, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this particular one. It's just that the sovereign micronation thing like really stood out to me and had me like, had my like tech utopia alarm bells going off. So yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. And they have a 60-acre property in Hawkins County.
So I clicked on the link and I was checking out their website. And again, I was like, huh, that actually doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah.
This one doesn't sound like maybe it's all right. And I went to their about page and I scrolled down to the bottom and I found some names. And one of the names I found was Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, really? Yep. Oh, dude, that was a total guess. Okay, I knew it. Yep. But look, they're even using like, look at the language here. Arise, Homo sapiens. So it's like spiritual yet scientific. Like, I don't know. It's very like Elon Musk to me. Like the way that it's, I guess, these represented here.
Some of these guys are fucking good. They're slick, man. They will catch people. And this
Yeah.
is, this is how people get caught, right?
Yeah.
Because again, I was just clicking around and I was like, I don't understand what's bad about this. And
Yeah.
I was just like, man, that's a really well put together fucking website. That's fucking nice. And then I read just a couple of little clips here and there, and it was like, that doesn't sound too bad.
I think for me, I knew something was up when I ran into, and now I'm having trouble finding it, like how I even got to it. I think, yeah, I definitely went and took a look at their team members. And then I saw something about Lazarus Initiative somewhere. I think it was here somewhere that I saw that. I don't remember. But yeah, like alarm bells went off whenever I saw like all the, actually, I'm just going to go there so I can show you because it's like so obvious. The Lazarus Initiative. You know, once you see this, you just know this is some bullshit right here. Like, this is Sasha Stone. This is the founder of this group, right? And
Wasn't he
he's
in a
also
rock
like the
band?
leader of, I don't know, is he?
I thought I saw that on the other
He
page on the other website that he was a
oh,
former rock star or some shit.
maybe I missed that. But
Sorry,
anyway,
I know it.
this part right here is when I really knew, okay, this is a grift. This is some BS right here. Um they're like hawking their spiritual I don't know, their spiritual line of memberships, I guess you could say. And it just
Everything for
feels very
show.
Scientology to me. But
That's
anyway,
that's that's exactly what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about it.
yeah, yeah, like it's just it's so obviously like ridiculous here. Anyway, so yeah, that is a another, I don't know if you would call it extremist group. Like I said, I put it on here because it really screamed network state to me in the way that they use the words sovereign micronation. To me, that screams like freedom city, network state, and basically the whole agenda that these tech bros are after.
Yep.
So anyway, so there's that one over in Hawkins County. And then just quickly, I wanted to say there's also, I found evidence of this place called I don't know how to say this, Wotan's Nation near Chattanooga. It was a 44-acre property that was purchased in 2018. And as I dug into it, it looks like uh, they made a bit of a ruckus. Maybe 2018 was a little too soon for them to be doing all this because their presence made people uncomfortable because they apparently erased all like traces of their presence from their website, from social media, after local news reported on them moving in. And so I went and did a little digging on the Tennessee Charitable Organization website to see if they're still showing as like a charity, or because that's how they had like structured themselves to buy the land, was a charity. And it's showing as expired. And then I did a little more digging to see if I could maybe track down the owners of this particular, I guess, project. And I found something saying that the founders claim they no longer associate with the National Socialist Movement. Is that what NSM stands for? Anyway, NSM is I want to say like a white neo-Nazi type group. And I believe it stands for National Socialist Movement.
That is why we need fucking proper political education in this country because
Amen.
words have been hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, words have been hijacked.
Yes, they have. And so, anyway, I'll just quickly end by saying there was this one last guy that I added to my list called named Sean Kaufman. Um, you know what? Actually, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there because I think I've said enough.
I'm gonna just throw out this out there, and I was going through it, and first and foremost, it's funny that Patriot Front has traded in white masks for the white gators, right? Some things never really change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they can all get fucked. They can fuck all the way off. Do
Yeah.
the world a favor and go to either wash your mouth out with buckshot or take a fucking razor blade bath. You're, seriously though, let's say that Donald Trump succeeds in burning it down, which is what a lot of them are counting on, right? Because they want to start anew. How does that look? What's that look like in the end?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, eventually there's nobody left, but the hate never stops, right? Hate can never be satiated. It's never full.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to hate what? The white people with red hair? You're going to hate the white people who have a southern accent or a northern accent. I mean, it never fucking stops. And most of them, the vast majority of them don't understand that they're just fucking pawns in a bigger game. It just fucking blows my mind that these people are still in existence at all.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow they think it'll be a better world when it's just them. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. And
Bunch of
it's doing this, like, I could not help but think to myself, like, what is up with Tennessee? Why Tennessee?
so I
Right?
researched that. Did you come up with anything?
Well, I don't know that I went specifically looking for that answer, but I did wonder, is this happening elsewhere? So I went to ChatGPT, told it, like, about all these groups in Tennessee and all these groups forming, and asked it to tell me, can you give me examples of this sort of thing happening elsewhere? And the only thing it could provide me was um, the California Forever Project, which, again, we talked about that in one of our previous episodes. And then there was this other project in Sonoma County, California, aiming to purchase land to build a town or a network state focused on novel living models. And that's it. That's it. The only other thing it said was they found some posts on Reddit mentioning community creation in Idaho.
I was going to mention Idaho. I know that there's and I don't know that it's the way it seems to be growing in Tennessee, but I know Idaho has got a history of some white supremacy issues.
Oh
My
yeah.
understanding is that like Eastern Washington State, right there on the state line with Idaho, is apparently pretty bad.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, in my little quick search earlier about why Tennessee is all I could find was that it was because of the history of Tennessee, the history of the
Mhm.
South and the KKK.
Yeah.
I was coming home one day and stopped at a gas station. It's a kind of a national chain gas station, and I was in line, and I want to say it was right after one of our more recent episodes, and it was an episode where we were talking about this issue in the past, and I happened to look up, and a dude in front, and I'm always just like, I'm always wondering, okay, are you that guy? Are you that person? And I saw a tattoo, and I was like, that I bet that's something. So I stuck my phone out and I took a quick picture of it. And that way I could, because I got a horrible memory. And I researched it, and sure enough, it was a fucking white nationalist tattoo. I want to see if I still got it
Mhm.
in my
No,
phone.
you sent it to me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, damn, good eye. I probably would not have, like, immediately noticed that.
Yeah,
But
it's just it's fucking insane how prevalent it is. I mean, and again, if I think as a whole, they are a minority in our country, right? As a whole. I do think there's enough of them to be concerned, for people to truly be concerned about it. And again, I don't think that they really are playing this out in their head all the way to the end. if they are, I'd love to know what the fucking end game is.
Yeah, and that's why it's so concerning to me. Look, I don't necessarily uh, you know me well enough, I think, at this point to understand that, like, I am totally in favor of people forming intentional communities and, doing their own thing. It's not a new phenomenon. Like, lefties have been doing this for a long time, forming their like little eco village, their little solar communities or whatever the hell. So I'm not necessarily opposed to the notion that people want to come together around certain principles, that they agree on. But what I find highly disturbing about this particular situation, is obviously the hate component. When you get a bunch of hateful people in one, concentrated little place, well, then that's just going to breed probably something rather terrifying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Oh yeah.
so,
And the thing is it's not just that they hate people who aren't white. They hate white people who don't believe like them.
yeah,
You're a race traitor.
yeah,
Fuck you.
yeah. It's depressing because, well, I don't think regular everyday people here in Tennessee have a clue as to how dangerous it is in their backyards. Like, I really don't think they have a clue.
Why? Why is white supremacy your thing? Why the fuck are you so concerned about other communities of color, of other national descent trying to make it in this country? Are you afraid that you are not smart enough, not capable enough to do it if other people come in here and put forth real effort? Can you not succeed then? Are you that weak? I mean, I know that most of the white supremacists out there already are. Most of them will find a way to be a victim. They are the
Mm-hmm.
biggest fucking victims I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they're just a bunch of little men, and I don't mean little men in fucking physical stature. I mean little men in everything that is valuable, in character, in fucking true heart, in anything worthwhile. They're little. They've got big egos. And that is a
Mm-hmm.
big problem in the country and the world, is little men with big egos. But seriously, all these fucking little bitch ass people who are white supremacists who have nothing other to hang their hat on than the color of their fucking skin. Get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously, that shit, I got
Yeah.
just Jesus Christ.
And dude, this isn't even well, this is just barely scratching the surface of what's happening here in Tennessee. I didn't even get to the active clubs, right? I didn't get to the fact that we had a woman, I think it was mayor, she was running for mayor either last year or the year before, who had basically like uh a neo-Nazi like security detail with her, and she openly claimed them. She would not rebuke the fact that they were Nazis or anything like that. Like, she just was
That's the
openly
same
like, this
fucking
is my
community.
security.
That's the
Was it
same
Franklin?
community. Yes, that's
Yeah.
yes. I because the article I was reading, I remember that coming up. That is exactly the same community.
Yeah. And other groups coming in from out of state to cause problems at the Capitol. Like, I want to say it was, what's it called? Blood something or other. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like this other hate group called Blood. I want to say Blood Oath, but I don't think that's it. Anyway, my point is that you have hate groups buying up land in Tennessee, and you have hate groups constantly coming to Tennessee to cause problems and harass people. Some people have even been physically assaulted. Like I said, there's active clubs, which are these um, I guess you could say jujitsu like gym type things where they're basically operating as like fronts for neo-Nazis to like gather and train in physical like hand-to-hand combat and just martial arts in general. So like there's a ton of that, and that's not just in Tennessee, that's happening all over the country. But my whole point, and what I really hope to drive home to people about this particular segment, is that things are not okay in Tennessee, and people need to know what's happening here, because I don't feel like this is like, yes, Phil Williams out of Nashville has done a really good job covering, a lot of it. But if you're not watching Nashville local news, you don't know this is happening.
Yeah, hats off to that dude. That motherfucker's got some courage. Jesus.
Yes, he does.
I will. I'm just sitting here in the question of why Tennessee. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons that I'm not even thinking about at the moment, but just I can't help but wonder if geographical location isn't a big part of it. Um, One, Tennessee's got a lot of mountain area, so you can kind of have the high ground if shit
Mm-hmm.
falls apart. You also are central of the center of this part of the U.S. So if you think shit's going to fall apart and you're going to try to take over, you may strategically feel like it's geographically the best place.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of natural resources.
Yeah. I think another thing drawing people to Tennessee is just how low the cost of land is here. We don't have a state income tax,
Yep.
and we have really low property taxes. So, for those who are like looking to like build and like, really entrench themselves in their hatred and like have like a base camp, if you will, Tennessee seems to be the place. And anyone who might be listening to this who lives in a different state, I highly encourage you to maybe check into your own state and see what kind of hate group activity is around you in your state, because this is something that has freaked me out for a long time now. And I just don't feel like it's covered enough, either in the mainstream media or even independent media. I mean, I think part of the problem is that we live in such a large country that, with this happening all over the place, it's kind of hard to like bring it all together. You know what I mean? Like to really see it in its like entirety and see like right in front of you, okay, these are all the places that this is currently happening, you know? Like it's enough to make me think maybe I should move. you know?
Well, so as we talked about in a recent conversation regarding some things that happened in a different aspect of your life, and you were accused of moving into KKK alley. It's America. Fucking America is KKK alley. I don't know that you can truly get away from it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I maybe yeah, you could probably decrease. I'm sure it's not as prevalent in other states as it is in Tennessee, but I'm positive it exists in every state.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that I think about it, I know of a whites only. Like I remember seeing a YouTube video, I guess in the last couple of months, about this like whites only town that's getting started up in Arkansas.
Jesus Christ.
so
Oh
it's
yeah, I
it's
remember
it's
that one. Yeah.
yeah, it's happening everywhere, but I don't know that it's happening to the degree that it's happening here in Tennessee. So yeah, sorry for how long that went.
It's all good.
Um,
We will.
I should have known.
Let's talk about our Scooby Doo villains and why we can't have nice things.
Let's do it.
We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I'm going to just give a big overview, and we're actually going to do a two for one special. Brothers Rob and Jim Walton, sons of Mr. Sam Walton, who is dead and gone. And man, my perception of him, what I had been taught, was absolutely wrong. By the way, um, he was not who I had been told he was. He actually was the wealthiest man on the earth before he died. Sam Walton, that is. Um, and his sons are number I believe it's 10 and 11, or I'm sorry, they're 11 and 12 on the Forbes list. And I looked in a few different places. Forbes has Rob listed at $109 billion in net worth rather. Jim has 110 billion. Another place I looked had Jim at 117 and Rob at 119.
Wow.
Um, yeah, they're in the top 12. wealthiest people on the planet. And again, they inherited their money. They didn't work for it. They didn't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Dad was an American businessman who created Walmart and Sam's Club. They're no longer part of. I mean, they still have some like ownership in Walmart, but they are not like running Walmart itself. Jim Walton, also known as James Carr Walton, was born June 7th, 1948. Approximate net worth as of February 2025 was 117 billion, almost 118. I got his bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Arkansas. His career included being a chairman of Arvest Bank, former CEO and community publishers, board member of Walmart since '05, philanthropy, which is bullshit, active in the Walmart Family Foundation, focusing on education and community development. And I heard someone say recently that philanthropy is just it's a scam because they're giving money back that they stole in the first place, and they're giving it back at a fraction of what they stole.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, like in all my studies of all the Epstein stuff and Zampoli and all that, it sure does look like these philanthropic endeavors are usually just a front for, finding ways to like hide their money, take money,
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just a front. It's not actually real. Look, I'm not saying this is the case with Mr. Rob Walton here or Jim Walton or whoever the fuck. I'm just saying that, you know, in the Epstein research, it looked more like a front more than not.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we've talked before about I refuse to donate to any organization through a capitalistic business that I spend my money with because they get to use that donation as a big tax write-off. And they didn't actually donate the money themselves. They asked their fucking uh whatever we are, they asked the consumers that, their patronage to get that money and to give that money to them. And then they're using it as a tax write-off.
Mm,
So Mr.
sounds about
Rob
right.
Walton, Mr. Rob Walton, Jim Walton's brother. His full name is Samuel Robson Walton. Birth date of October 27th, 1944. Net worth is approximately 119 billion as of February 2025. His education is a bachelor's degree in business administration from University of Arkansas and a Juris Doctor from Columbia Law School. His career, he served as chairman of Walmart for over 2 decades, currently involved in various business and philanthropic activities. Family background, both are sons of Sam Walton, as I said, the founder of Walmart, and Helen Walton. They are part of a family that has maintained significant ownership of Walmart, ensuring their wealth and influence in the retail sector. So let's talk about Walmart for a moment. According to a September 11th, 2025 article in Demand Sage, Walmart remains a global retail giant in 2025, attracting approximately 225 million customer visits each week across its 10,797 stores worldwide. The company reported a substantial revenue of 500.4 billion in the first 3 quarters of the fiscal year of 2025. In the US, Walmart operates 4,606 stores and 600 Sam's Club locations, and internationally, it maintains 5,591 stores. With a massive global workforce of approximately 2.1 million employees, Walmart remains a dominant force in the retail industry, continually adapting its strategy to meet the evolving demands of consumer and changing markets. Now, I know that there are people out there going to be like, that's great. They employ a lot of people. Think about how many fucking people they've put out of business. Think about how
Right.
many little mom and pop shops that they have fucking taken business from. How many people who could be providing for themselves are now dependent on this fucking business, on this fucking giant? How many how many lives have they devastated? Communities have they devastated?
Mhm.
Um, so let's look at some issues. They are, in my opinion, and I've seen when I was doing the research, of course, there were some articles that said, no, it's not true. They are not, they don't live on government subsidies, but I saw a lot that said they do. And the reason that they're government subsidized is because of their fucking employees, the low pay of their employees. So I've got on here that the average pay for a few job titles, the operations managers make anywhere from 43,000 to 170,000 a year, with the average being 68. Retail store assistant managers 39,000 to 87,000, the median being 59,000. I can tell you from running a small, decent sized pawn shop that if you're fucking only making $40,000 as an assistant store manager of a Walmart, you need to fucking walk the fuck out
Oh my
tomorrow.
God, yes.
You have too much stress for that bullshit. Senior
Wow.
data now Senior data analysts make 72,000 to 124,000 estimated, with the average being 95. Overnight stockers, the people who actually put the fucking food on the shelves, 19,000 to 61,000, with an estimated average of 33,000. And by the way, $33,000 in almost every city you go into today is poverty.
Yeah,
Sales
it
associates
is.
make 24,000 to 70,000, with the average being 40,009. Senior finance managers are 82 to 138,000, and senior data analysts make 44 to 88,000. Or no, just data analysts. The seniors made the 72 to 124. Walmart employees receiving government assistance. The overview of assistance programs. Walmart is one of the largest employers of individuals who rely on government assistance programs, including Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, commonly known as food stamps. Employee statistics. Medicaid recipients. Approximately 10,350 Walmart employees are enrolled in Medicaid across various states. SNAP recipients, excuse me, about 14,500 Walmart workers receive SNAP benefits. Comparison with other companies. Walmart is frequently cited as a top employer of federal aid recipients. For context, McDonald's also employs a significant number of individuals on those programs, with around 4,600 on Medicaid and nearly 8,800 on SNAP. Implications. The reliance on government assistance among Walmart employees highlights ongoing discussions about wage levels and the adequacy of compensation in relation to living costs. It's not even close, folks. Many of these
Mhm.
workers are employed full time, yet their earnings do not meet the basic living wage, necessitating additional support from federal programs. Oh, and again, let me just scroll back up here. In the first 3 quarters of the fiscal year of 2025, $500 billion in revenue.
Jesus Christ.
3 quarters. That's not an entire year.
Wow. It's so infuriating.
The people who are fucking getting a little assistance from the government are not the problem in this country.
Nope. Not even a little. All right. You know, I knew Walmart was making money hand over fist, but holy shit.
Yeah,
It's honestly more than I would have guessed. Honestly.
yeah. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but I had no clue. And let's be honest, the vast majority of the shit they're selling is cheaply made bullshit that's going to end up in the fucking dump in 90 days to 6 months at the most.
I know. Isn't that so depressing? Like, I don't know about you, but it's something I think about a lot. Like, just with everyday use of like, things around the house. Like, I'll like look at it and I'm constantly thinking to myself, well, they don't make them like they used to. It can be anything from like a utensil to like, a freaking AC unit that I just bought a year ago and it's already fucking broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
or how about my
Absolutely.
refrigerator that, didn't even have it 6 months before we had to call it in for like maintenance or we had to call in a service technician to fix something with the freezer.
And it's by design. It is absolutely by design.
Yep. It's called planned obsolescence.
That's capitalism for you, baby.
Indeed. All right.
Well, that's all we have for today. We hope you're learning something and, most importantly, realizing just how much the Epstein class hates us all. As a reminder, all the sources we used to compile the information discussed in this episode will be linked in the show notes, so please check them out.
And I hope you'll join us next time as we continue to wonder what the fuck, America, while also calling out the oligarchs destroying our country. Currently, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Substack by searching at Waste People Pod. So, again, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, folks, later.